Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast, episode 113.
Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast with your host, Jack Mountain Bushcraft School founder and Master Main Guide, Tim Smith.
I'm your host, Tim Smith. I'm a registered Master Main Guide and have been a full-time outdoor instructor and guide since founding the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School in 1999. We help people become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more confident in the natural world through our bushcraft and guide training semester programs and multi-week canoe and snowshoe expeditions. You can check out the show notes to all of our podcasts at blog.jackmtn.com. If you're interested in learning more about our college-accredited and GI Bill-approved programs, visit the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School on the web at jackmtn.com. And check out our online network and digital learning academy at bushcraftschool.com. Hello and welcome back to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. It's been over a year since we've recorded one of these, and to be honest, just kind of burned out with it after 112 episodes. Felt like we were self-plagiarizing our own horrible jokes, but enough time has passed now where I've completely forgotten all those jokes, so I'm ready to tell them again. So I think we're back. I think we're going to start doing these regularly again. And I am not alone here in the Guide Shack this morning. I'd like everybody out there in podcast land to give a big warm welcome to Tessa Storey.
Good morning. Hello.
Tessa took a semester course with us last year, and immediately I said, we've got to get this girl on board here, and then worked on the Wilderness Canoe Expedition semester last year, and then the Fall Bushcraft semester, and now we're back. Because today we start the 4-week canoe expedition.
Yes, we do.
So, it's going to be busy. Life is going to be busy here. So, for me personally, like after running winter programs, then you kind of go into semi-hibernation and you don't interact with people a ton, and then hermit style. And then today we'll jump right into it and like full on social butterfly, loud and social all day.
Yeah, time for the jokes.
Yeah, time
the jokes
for
are
the
back.
jokes. It's much to the chagrin of everybody else involved.
I like it.
But we're going to, hopefully bring you guys some regular dispatches from the field. The way that we record these things is a simple little handheld audio recorder, so we can bring it with us. We don't have a studio or anything fancy like that. And this little thing, it's like the size of 2 decks of cards. So
the Guide Shack is fancy.
The Guide Shack is fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the audio recorder isn't.
No.
So just a nice, the 30th of April... Here in Masardis, Maine, we were able to drive down the road for the first time about 4 days ago, and now the big melt is on, but it's about 40 degrees out and really overcast, and we're supposed to open the season with about 4 straight days of pouring rain.
Welcome to northern Maine.
And it's going to be cold. But this course, we always spend the first week in and around camp, getting everybody up to speed with things like axes, fires, and with the perspective being that if somebody's going to be unsafe with an axe, it's better to happen here when we can throw them in a vehicle and get them to the hospital rather than like a remote river somewhere where...
The vehicle we throw them in is a canoe.
Yeah, that would be bad. And then this course, we're going to run the St. John River, 105 miles on the St. John, go from Baker Lake down to Allagash Village. Then we take a 2-day break, resupply everything, and then we're going to run the entire Aroostook River back to here unless water levels are too low, and then we'll probably do the Allagash. But the awesome thing about May in Maine, in northern Maine, is all the rivers are high, the bugs aren't out yet, the fish are just waking up, and all the edible greens. So it's an awesome month to live outside. It's an awesome month to live outdoors on the river.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out there in May this year. Last year during May, I was here for my course, and we spend most of the 9-week semester in the field school, with the last week being out on the river. So basically that means we wait until the black flies are fully out, and then we go and spend a week on the river.
Well, they're hungry. They haven't eaten since last September. I mean,
they were definitely hungry.
Cut them a break.
They were hungry.
They like people. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
All the time. And clean water. So that's nice.
This year we're changing gears a little bit with our scheduling process. For the past 6 or 7 years, we've run the canoe expedition, the big canoe expedition in the summertime. And lately, we've just been plagued with a bunch of droughts in the summer, and it really limits where we can go. So this year, we're going back to real old school and running it in May, which is time of high water. Everywhere is canoeable right now. There's tons of water everywhere, and I'm super excited about that. But the flip side is that we're not running a spring semester this year. We switched that to the summer. So today we start with the canoe expedition, and then we've got 4 weeks of that. And then we have a week off, and then we do a 9-week semester, and then is it a week or 2 off?
Weeks.
2 weeks off, and then we do the second 9-week semester. So it's going to be, we're going to hit the ground running today, and then it's kind of like a sprint straight out to Halloween. So should be a fun season. I'm super excited for it, and off season seems to get longer every year when you're just kind of killing time waiting for things to get
when
going
you're in
again.
Aroostook County. Yeah, I'm sure off season feels like a long time. I kind of had just felt like we put the canoes back in the barn the other day.
Yeah.
And now I'm back. But I live down in Portland, so
it's like a
there's a
nightmare
little more
for
happening.
you. It's getting worse.
Yeah, I've never left. Actually, somebody send help. I'm chained to this table.
Yep. Is that Stockholm Syndrome? What is that when you are...
No, because I don't like you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Is that
Stockholm syndrome.
Oslo Syndrome?
Yeah. wrong City.
Masardis Syndrome?
Masardis Syndrome.
So I know everybody out there is curious. Tell us a little bit about your background. Well, tell them. I know, but tell them.
So yeah, my background is that I'm pretty new at doing all of this bushcraft stuff. I have been living in Portland for the last decade and working in the service industry, mostly in coffee. Have opened a few coffee shops and worked as a manager, and in all different facets of the food service industry. And after COVID, I kind of just decided if I didn't have my own place, I didn't want to do it at all anymore. So I was traveling a bit. My partner has a food truck and he does festivals out of state. So we were traveling a bit and camping along the way. And I remember one day I was just sitting outside and I thought, I could work outside, but how could I work outside? So when we came back home, I kind of started looking into things, maybe thinking about taking a wilderness first responder course, which my friend had done recently. And the first thing that popped up was Jack Mountain Bushcraft School. And so I opened the webpage and I looked through it and I looked at the curriculum and I thought, yeah, right. And I X'd out of it. I was like, that is not something I can do. And kept looking through stuff, but I kept being drawn back to the page, especially because it was in Maine. And for some reason I had this idea that I needed to go to Vermont or Montana or somewhere really far away when, Maine is beautiful and amazing and has plenty of things to do outdoors. And I kept going back and said to my friends, is this crazy that I want to do this? And thankfully they encouraged me being crazy and told me I should do it. So
those are the types of friends that you want in this world, right?
They're great.
I don't like friends that are like, oh, don't do it. Take the safe path.
No,
stay
they
at
are
home.
not like
Don't
that
do
at all.
Yeah.
In fact, they're like, please do not ever work at a coffee shop again. Go be crazy, get in the canoe.
Yeah.
You know, it's for me. I signed up. I did the 9-week course last year and loved it. Wasn't really sure what my goal in doing it was. I just knew I wanted to do something new and learn some new skills. And then I accidentally got a job. Whoops.
Yeah. Worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Except for the whole being chained to the table thing.
Yeah. But, these table legs are removable, so you're not really trapped.
Well, yeah, I get to go out on the canoe. But when I come back, I have to be put back on the table.
That's great. Yeah. Cool. So we don't have a ton of stuff to talk about this episode. We're just this is the first one that we're doing together. But I did want to relay one story from last year's Wilderness Canoe Expedition semester. And I like to call this story the best beer of 2022. So I think it was the beginning of week 4 of the 4-week course.
Yep, it was right when we had put in.
Beginning of week 4, we're on the east branch of the Penobscot, super clear river. We put it on the Grand Lake Road Bridge, just down from the dam at Grand Lake Matagamon. And day 1 on that trip, it's a pretty easy float.
But we're a little groggy. I mean, this is week 4, so we've been going through it. We're a little. I mean, I am. I'm sitting in the bow comfortably.
You'll see the
relaxing.
photo. We'll post the photo of this experience. So, yeah, we were in the canoe together. Tessa was in the bow. I'm poling downstream. It's about 3.5 feet deep, 3.5 feet deep. Crystal clear water, rocky bottom. And I'm just kind of looking around, and I see something on the bottom.
I see a glint. I go, what is that gold thing? And Tim goes, ugh, trash. And starts pulling back up.
Well, yeah. So it's a pretty popular campground at the bridge there. So people are probably drinking and doing whatever. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's a beer bottle, and it just made me kind of annoyed with humanity that someone's going to take these beautiful Maine rivers that we love and just litter like beer bottles and stuff. Just, it's dumb, right? It makes me mad.
So I turn around and Tim is just fully in the river now.
So I stopped the canoe. I pulled back upstream, like, I don't know, we were probably 20 feet.
Yeah.
Pull back up 20 feet, jump out of the boat, reach down and grab it. And I'm like, hey, Tessa, guess what? It's full.
And it was cold because the water is nice, clear, and cold.
It was a Molson Golden sitting on the bottom of the river. So she's like, I think you were like, what are you going to do? And I think I said, I'm going to drink it.
Yeah. Like, should we? Yeah, we probably should. There's no reason we shouldn't drink this.
So we open this beer, and like the set and setting is this beautiful river, perfect,
gorgeous. Yeah,
perfect
you see
day.
the like mountains on the side.
Yeah, I don't think you can in
hills.
that picture, but you're right along.
No, but you're right there. Like, we were definitely drinking it as we came around the corner, and it was just all of the wildflowers were in bloom, the blue vervain and the cardinal flower. And just like, oh, this is so nice.
I remember I opened it
beer.
and I took my first swig, and then a bald eagle flew up and landed on my shoulder.
That's not very Canadian. This is like more of a Canadian experience because of the beer.
But yeah, so if you've ever had, like, I don't know, your best cup of coffee ever, or your greatest cup of tea, or your greatest glass of beer, this was probably the greatest beer I ever had, because I was just tired and like physically a bit run down from the expedition, and
right.
It was just thoroughly enjoyable.
It got us, it lifted the mood and set the tone for the rugged trip.
But yeah, check out the photos associated with this. If you're hearing this on an app, you can click through to the page that it's on and see those photos. But yeah, that was a great time. So other current events, life is really coming back to the land here at the field school. Like, literally snow a couple of days ago, but we've got our first wildflowers out. The Tusalaga farafara, the colt's foot is out. Saw my first mushroom yesterday, the Gyromitra esculenta, the poisonous false morel.
Don't eat it.
And we've been listening to the birds. But a little bit of trivia about the false morel mushroom. Probably 20 years ago, I heard this mycologist give a talk, and they said that it's the only mushroom that's ever killed somebody where nobody ate it. So the story was that somebody, I think they said it was in New York City, they were convinced these were morels, and they had a pot full of them boiling on a stove with a super tight lid on it. And the cook pulled the lid off, took a deep breath in, and there was enough of the toxin that they found the body on the ground. I hear a lot of stuff these days, as I'm sure you guys do out there in podcast land. I don't know if any of it's true anymore.
I remember hearing one about like a Boy Scout troop handling. Maybe it wasn't a mushroom. Maybe it was a plant.
Oh, that was me. I told you that.
Oh, of course.
That was Monkshood.
Everything I hear about is from Tim, so disregard.
Well, I heard that one from the guy I studied botany with in Alaska in the 1990s
All
from
lies.
Boyd Schaefer. And that story was Monkshood aconitum, the super poisonous plant, and it was in Russia, in Siberia, and the scout leader, I think it was 12-year-old boys, and the scout leader pointed out the plant and said, don't play around with this one, it's super poisonous. And what did 12-year-old boys do? The exact opposite of what they're told. So they dug it up when we're handling the root, and they got a bunch of the juice from the root on their hand. They didn't have any open cuts, but it soaks through. We like to think of our skin as like a layer of saran wrap that keeps our body in and the outside world out, but it's very porous. So if you're handling toxic things, it'll absorb right through the skin. But yeah, I was on a trip once, actually. I've eaten that false morel. Not on purpose.
Dead?
No, it was. I was on a trip, and I was like the young guide on the trip, and the senior guide was convinced that was a morel.
Are you being serious?
I'm being dead serious. Thankfully,
you have to look Tim in the eyes. You have to look for any shift of a joke.
There were like 8 people on the trip, big pot of dinner, and just one of those little mushrooms went in, so it wasn't like a high enough dosage to make anybody sick. But
Smart.
The point of me bringing this up is that you should always be 100% certain before you, especially with mushrooms, before it goes anywhere near your body. especially your mouth. And don't be afraid to speak up. If you know, at that point I wasn't 100% certain that it was not a morel. So I just went along with it. But, in retrospect.
Nobody got sick at all?
No, because it was one small mushroom in like a 2-gallon pot of food or something. So.
Except that one guy, we never saw him again.
Well, he died. But.
It was all right. We threw him in the next soup.
Yeah, right. Anyway, life's coming back to the land. You said you had a terrible night's sleep.
I did. It was awful.
But you woke up at 4:30 and heard who?
I heard a woodcock this morning. They make really funny little noises.
Yeah.
And it's called a peent. I live in Portland along the ocean. I live right next to where there's a drawbridge. So you're just hearing drawbridge go up and boats honking the horns and seagulls mostly. Seagulls and maybe a pigeon, maybe a crow. So when I came back up here yesterday, I just stopped and was like, oh my gosh, there are so many birds that aren't seagulls around. This is nice. So even though I was pretty tired and upset that I was tossing and turning, I left the window and the guide shack open just so I could hopefully hear some good birds. And I heard a woodcock this morning.
Good main guide test question trivia about the woodcock. I think it's the only bird that the stripe goes like across the head, not front to back.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Log that down.
Well, there's like the state of Maine, chronically underfunded. They're using the same written test questions as they had in like 1975, so they never upgrade them. So.
I never knew about that question. You'd think that you're studying correctly for the guide exam, and you never are. They're like, what bird blinks with one eye sideways on a Tuesday?
Yeah, for sure. Just good little trivia. But what else have we heard? I've been hearing white-throated sparrows, the songbird of the north. Good trivia about them. The American white-throated sparrow sings, "Oh, Sam, peebity, peebity, peebity," but the Canadian white-throated sparrow sings, "Oh, sweet Canada, Canada, Canada." So it takes a very discerning ear when you hear the white-throated sparrow sing to know, hey, is that an American bird or a Canadian one?
And that's how you know you're a bushcraft master.
So, the Border Patrol guys with their office down the road, actually, they blocked my number from calling them up in the middle of the night saying, I just heard an illegal Canadian white-throated sparrow. They don't want to hear it from me anymore.
That's because they're sending them in as spies.
Yeah, right.
They know what's going on.
They're trying to steal all of our potato technology from Aroostook
Definitely.
County.
Potato seed board.
Big potato, right? Mm-hmm. Big chip, big potato. They're responsible for everything that's wrong in the world.
Everything.
And my friend Blake Towsley once told me that Big Potato killed his dad.
R.I.P.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Probably not true. Based on the look in your eyes, that's not true. So for those, I heard a hairy woodpecker this morning. Saw some wood ducks.
Yeah?
Which did not land in the pond because as they flew overhead, I went, wood ducks!
Loudly.
And they're afraid of anything, so they kept going.
Yeah, the usual turkeys, geese. I almost hit a rough grouse coming down the hill. He ran right in front of the truck.
It's like they want to die.
Probably the same one. Yeah, little jerk. Yeah. Well, I guess we should wrap it up and probably go get busy getting camp ready. We have people arriving in a couple of hours, and I just actually fixed our... because the buildings here have no foundation, they're just on skids, on blocks. They shift with the frost, and as the frost goes out, the ground heaves, and basically the doors can't be opened in some of the cabins. So I just fixed the library cabin with a big jack. You jack it up and you make it so it's level again, and that's always fun to do. But too many things to do, not enough time to do it, so we'll let you guys go, but it feels good to be back.
Sure does.
So thank you for listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. You can definitely check us out online. If you want to interact with us, we've got our own private online network at bushcraftschool.com where you can join, and we've got a pretty lively forum and some online courses, and we'll talk more about those in a future episode. But thanks for listening. Thanks for participating, Tessa, and hope everybody out there has a great day.
Send help.
You have been listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. For more information on our professional wilderness guide training programs that are college accredited and GI Bill approved, visit us on the web at jackmtn.com.